Hi and welcome. This is Katie Carduan, and this is another episode of my livestream series about unlearning bad workshop tactics. And today we're going to focus on the workshop dilemmas and see what we may unlearn more of in order to become more successful with our workshops. I'm going to share a brief presentation as I normally do, and you're welcome with your questions or comments in the comments box. I will get back to you as soon as I can, and would encourage you to ask your questions and hopefully add some of your tips and hints as well. We'll see what happens. Why this unlearning topic is so interesting and intriguing to me has to do with the fact that we need to unlearn a number of things to relearn and then learn new things. And unlearning is especially important because we are unconsciously continuing using behaviors, using the same type of tactics, unless we are very consciously and deselecting them and practicing new behaviors. And it takes some effort. So I'm really dedicated to understanding and helping my peeps and my followers learn more about how to unlearn more effectively. Simply because we need to stop doing things that are not serving us anymore. And we need also to be able to include new things, relearning and learning new things that we need to be able to demonstrate and be agile about in the upcoming months and years, as every scientific report and every outlook will tell you that the cognitive flexibility and the ability to not only learn and relearn but also to unlearn will be very, very important moving forward. When I share hints and tips about unlearning workshop-related topics, I want to pinpoint a number of things, and some of them can relate to the preparations for workshops, other things could relate to the execution itself, and also to the follow-up. And today's topic about the dilemmas will mainly focus on the execution part. So I hope you will find some interesting hints and tips, and I will be curious to learn if you have any additions to what I'm sharing today. When we're going to unlearn something, I'm sharing this very simplistic method in cracking the code, and we need to understand what is it that we are doing that is not serving us anymore. What is it specifically that we need to unlearn? So there are some facts that we need to be conscious about. And then, of course, we need to make a firm decision on which new perspective we're going to pursue. We need to visualize it and we need to embrace it. And then, as with everything we need to learn, is also, of course, to maybe not only practice for a couple of times or over a few weeks, but also to really embrace the practicing part and learn the new strategies in order to change the behavior. It takes time to change behavior. Today's topic about the workshop dilemmas, I've chosen 3 things that I believe can be of value when it comes to creating a great workshop experience for your group of people or to contribute to that as a participant. First of all, let's look at the introductions. I'll then come back to the exercises and also how to end on a high note. And when it comes to introductions, I sometimes get the feeling that people expect it to be significant introductions, and sometimes they are really long. Sometimes people already know each other, and there's little variation to the way we actually run them. So my question to you would be, do we really need introductions? And if yes, how can we do them in a way that feels like they're adding value? And if people are brought together in this workshop and they don't know each other beforehand, we do not want to take away too much time from the actual workshop. So one idea, and this is something that I learned from my workshopping community, is that you can actually invite them to hang out in a lounge, virtually or physically in a lounge, maybe the day before, and then introduce some type of structure on how they can introduce themselves. So there is a pre-meeting in order to get people to know each other a little bit better. And either you choose to do that, or you have them introduce themselves when you start the workshop in the exercise itself. You need to have a certain structure, and you need to set the scene, so to say. So you should always ally with somebody else and have somebody present themselves in the way that will be the template, so to speak, throughout the rest of the introductions. And keep it really, really brief. And if you feel that there's an expectation in the room that even though they know each other, they want to have an introduction in the morning, at least make sure that they add something that is not known to everyone else. This is another tip that I've gotten from one of my other communities, where they actually ask people to mention their name, obviously, and that maybe their position, but then also add something that most people don't know about them. And then it shouldn't be private, but it could be personal. It could be something that could add to the creativity and the type of climate you want to set for the workshop. So first of all, ask yourself what type of introductions will be necessary, and then either do it beforehand or structure in a way that makes it efficient but also a bit interesting, so people don't weigh throughout that part of the day. Moving on then to the exercises, and I know that we, as facilitators, we are really excited about our own exercises and we want to test them out and we have our favorites. And again, we need to make sure that we are not assuming that the participants already understand or know or have experience in using a similar type of exercise. And this is something that I've learned the hard way, that it's really important to tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them, in order to really make sure that everybody, every single participant, understand the exercise. Otherwise, it can get derailed and there will be a lack of motivation in the room if you fail with that. So if you spend some time in the beginning to make sure that everybody will nod and understand and see you as the facilitator, then also demonstrate the exercise, then you are on a good path. And that probably will be less necessity throughout the day, because then they will ask each other and they will feel safe in order to ask questions if they don't understand. So make sure to set the scene and do it thoroughly from the very beginning. You can actually not over-explain exercises. That is my experience. And then finally, ending on a high note, and then probably most people think that, wow, if the workshop is successful, we have a clear result and we know who's doing what afterwards. And it feels like we have created something that we can, we are in pole position to get moving after the workshop. And that could very well be the case, but mostly there are a number of things that are just in process. And some things have been parked on the parking lot, and you need to assign them or to make sure that they're handed over to the right person or group of people. So how can you end on a high note if you are not actually concluding the results finally from the workshop? And what I suggest that you think about is, instead of feeling that you need to come up with tangible results, there are a lot of flavor and value also in the intangible results. What I sometimes do is, when I have people in my workshop who are really busy people and they run through meetings all the day and they rarely have time to reflect, I actually put in some time, maybe 15 to 20 minutes towards the end of the day, where they are journaling, where they are working individually, they're journaling the takeaways from the workshop. And then I let them know that they are free to share one or a couple of things from that journal, but it's theirs. And what I see is that many of these people are really appreciative of having the opportunity to journal, to reflect, and also to decide what to share and what not to share. And that could be a very, I would say, appreciated intangible result that will not only give them something that is significant to them as individuals. But that might also lead to a number of more ideas and in-depth insights coming out of the workshop. The way I see it, the workshop doesn't end when the exercise ends. Then a lot of things are emotion and some things need some more time. And by journaling and reflecting about that, it's so much easier to pick it up and to build on that. It's almost impossible not to get more progress after such an exercise. So ending on a high note doesn't really mean that you have to end with a lot of energy in the room, but you should end on a good energy in the room and the feeling that they have had a chance to really reflect, to get an insight or two, and maybe surprise them in what pops up when they are making themselves, I would say, visit that journaling reflective mode. Okay, so with that, I hope that you got some insights and tips about what you can do in order to make introductions effective but also fun, how to explain the exercises and never underestimate the importance and the necessity to do so. And finally, then, how you can end on a high note, especially in a very high energy environment where people rarely prioritize the time in order to reflect themselves. And let me check here. I have a comment here, and let me show that it's Magdalena, and I'm happy to see that you're joining this morning, Magdalena. And she says, what a gift to have some time that is just yours during the day when you get to reflect and write things down. Yes. And all the neuroscience research shows that we are learning most effectively when we are quiet, when we are writing, actually with a pen on paper. And it just adds to that energy that we hopefully have had throughout the workshop, that it ends on a high note, but maybe in a quiet setting. But that could be the real value coming out of that. And again, it allows for people to really build on that. And it's almost unstoppable, because when you are experiencing insights coming out of that workshop on that day, you can't deny the insights. Insights becomes part of your own learning, and then you are on the move towards something new, which is helpful, of course, to succeed with your workshop and also change maybe some behaviors along the way. So thank you for that comment, Magdalena. And as always, I will ask you to consider a question this time in terms of one thing that you may want to do differently in your next workshop. What is the one thing that you might want to do differently, and why do you choose that? It could be about the introductions, it could be about the way you explain the exercises or how you want to end the workshop, or it could be something else. So just think about it and make sure that you are embedding this learning and experimenting with it, because that pays off. I would also mention now that next week I'm going to talk about unlearning bad workshop results. And then we will come back to the notion and the distinguish between tangible and intangible results. So I hope to see you back then, and that will be the normal lunchtime next week. And meanwhile, I will always refer you to my video where you can learn more about the most essential questions you need to ask yourself before your next workshop. And you find it via this link, bit.ly/workshop hacks. And with that, I'm going to end this in time this morning. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing any comments. And I would also love to see you again next week. So meanwhile, enjoy your workshops either as a facilitator or as a participant. Have fun with it. Take care. Bye.